when we think about creating a backup and archive, what is what are some of the highlights there? And I know you're going to show a little bit how to do that, but
Yeah.
what's
Yeah. We definitely recommend creating an archive or backup company, especially like for this customer I was working with. We like to do that just in the rare instance because they hadn't run the process for so long. If there were any hiccups in that process, we'd like to have a backup. So that's kind of the first reason. If you haven't done it for a long time, I mean, you're managing a lot of data potentially when it goes through those files and does its cleanup and purge. And so to have a backup, if something were to happen in the process or you've got some bad data, never a bad idea. So that would be one consideration. The other consideration is, because you're purging some history potentially, it's nice to have that data in another company, an archive company, so that you could go reference that data. So if you were doing some cleanup and you were getting rid of sales history from 5 years ago, let's say, you might want to have that in a second backup or archive company in Sage so that you could go back and reference it. We're cleaning it up out of the production company to speed up performance of the system, but at the same time, we've got it retained in a backup company if we wanted to go back and get that. And by the way, creating, and I'm going to show you how to do this, but creating a company copy in Sage is really the same process that we use for doing backups. It's great to have a test company in your Sage system. A lot of our customers has test companies. They can go in and test process a transaction, just see how it's going to post up through the system. And so really the process of creating this backup or archive company is identical to what we use to create a test company. So, and the test companies are always good to have. The company copies are done in Library Master Company Maintenance, and I'm going to show you that here in just a second. And I guess the last comment on this slide that is related, not directly related, but we wanted to talk about. We highly recommend that you test your backup every now and again. And we had a situation 2 weeks ago, Jeremy, and it seems like this comes up every year where we had a customer call in and they had inadvertently updated a payroll that wasn't correct, and wanted to unwind it. It got pretty messy pretty quickly. And the easiest thing was going to be to restore from a backup. And everybody's backing up their systems, right? Everybody has some way that they're backing up. And whether that's your IT vendor taking care of that for you, your IT department, we all think we're getting good backups. And easiest fix for this customer would have been to just restore from the previous night's backup to rerun that payroll. And they went back and found out that the backup they thought they didn't have, and it hadn't been successfully backing up for, I think it was like 8 or 9 months. And so it's just always a good idea to just test that you are getting a backup. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to actually test restore, make sure you can get the database or the data files back down to the server in the event that you were to have some kind of issue that we would have to recover from. So not directly related to really creating backups inside of Sage, but we just wanted to, I guess, mention that because it seems like it comes up on a regular enough basis, and it can't put you in a bad spot, obviously. So.
Yeah, when you think they're happening and they're not really. I think the other one that we had not too long ago was company got hit with a cyber attack and a ransomware deal, and they went to the easiest thing for them was let's go to a backup and get the most recent good copy without the ransomware, and they found out again they didn't have a good backup, so they're they end up paying the ransom is what it came down to.
Yeah.
So testing that at least annually is a good practice to get into.
Yeah, it's crazy how often it's happened. I mean, in our world, right? I mean, I feel like we're talking about this every 6 months here at Matrix, where we've got somebody that needed to recover from a backup and couldn't. Maybe not 6 months, but every year it comes up, and so something to think about. I'm going to share out my screen and show you how we would do a company copy. So we're at the end of the year. Before we run the year-end process, we know we're going to be the system's going to purge some data. So I'm just going to create a backup of my production company. I'm in this ABC demo company. Um, a backup is done in library master company maintenance. And the way that's done is these are all the companies that are currently in my database. The first thing we have to do is create a 3-digit company code. So I'm just going to call this backup. A lot of times our customers will use like the first digit of, their company code and then the year. So, this could be the backup for 23 or something like that, right? We'll do it that way. Company code B23. So this is our backup for 2023 before we run the year-end process. Something's nice in the newer versions of Sage is they now allow you to identify a company type. We didn't used to have that. And so we've seen systems that have literally 27 different companies in them, and you're not sure which are the production companies and what are the backup companies and what are the test companies. And so now we can identify a company type, whether it's live, archive, demo, and test. And then when a user goes to log in, they can see what that company type is. The other thing that this does do, there's now some security that prevents like a user from overwriting a live company, right? And this has happened too. I mean, there is a way to create a copy from the source company to the backup company, and you don't want to go the wrong way because you could be overwriting your production company. So there's some permissions now in the newer versions that, based on this company type, control what a user can do. So kind of nice. So I'm going to call this an archive company because this is the backup company. And I first have to define the company. So now I've created the company code and I have to accept that. And once I do, I can go back into that company and then I click on the copy button right here. So the important thing to note is you go into the company that you're going to copy to, not the company you're going to copy from. So I'm in the company I'm going to copy to, which is my backup company. I'm going to click on the copy button. It's going to tell me I'm about to create copy over an archive company, which I know I defined that as an archive company, and I have the permissions to do this. It's going to ask me if I want to proceed. I say yes, and then it's going to ask me for the source company. So this is the company I'm copying from, which is my demo company here. This is my production company. Okay, so I'm copying from dem into B23. And then you can do individual modules. So it allows you to say, well, all I want is common information, general ledger, but I don't, down through AP, but I don't really care about inventory. I don't recommend you do that, but you can do that. So we select the modules we want to copy, click the proceed button, just ask me if I want to copy all the data files to the selected company. I say yes, it goes through this process, and it doesn't really take that long. This is a demo database, so there's not a lot of data in it, but even in larger systems, we see that, this probably can be accomplished in maybe 5 or 10 minutes. This is another thing that I'd recommend you do off hours. It's not a great idea if you're trying to create a backup company, if you've got users in transacting in the middle of the day, because there's no good cutoff, right? So best practice is just get to the end of the day, get everybody out and make this backup. And now we've got the B23 company that's got all of the modules with its data captured. And I would be at a point now where if I needed to recover or go back and look at historical data, I would have that. All right.
Yeah, that's a great, the test company is something we use often. When you're doing a big process, maybe a physical inventory, or you're doing something that maybe has a big impact, you might want to copy the test company over, kind of get a refresh, and then walk through that process one time, see what the variance is doing, see what the posting does, and then when you feel good, you do it in the live. So it's a great tool at your fingertips to do those things.
That's such a great point because there are some nice utilities in Sage to like delete inventory items and things
Yeah,
that are like big data processes inside of Sage that can take some time. And to your point, Jeremy, you want to see the result before you just kick this process off. So
yeah,
yeah, I always recommend it if you're going to do something large like that we do it in a test company.
yeah. I'm about to do that with a client. They have about 9,000 open PO orders, and they want to purge a good set of them. So we'll do it in a test company, let them review it, and then decide whether it's the right move.
Yeah.